What's up, everybody? That's a quick intro because we're late as fuck anyway. So I'm Uncle Bill as usual, and welcome back to my favorite all-time show, ExploitNation, with some returning guests and a new guest. It's going to be an awesome show because we're going to be talking about horror that way. So yeah, we got first up, we got Mark. How you doing, Mark?
I'm doing good. Excited to talk about some body horror. It's been a while since we've done ExploitNations, so we'll see where it goes.
Mark had to do a Jinkum delivery. Nobody's ever gonna let you live Jinkum down, by the way. Once you know that.
Should have never brought that up.
Too late.
Rambo, man, how are you doing?
Doing well. I can't complain other than that ass half from the other video in the comment.
Yeah.
If I need to edit a video, buddy, I'll edit my foot in your ass so it stays there indefinitely. And you fuck your prostate, then maybe you'd be chipper and have a smile on your face. Have a croaker smile and shut the fuck up. There you go.
Yeah. For some reason, every video we do now includes trolls. So yeah, they have to come on and talk. If this one, somebody got confused and trolled the wrong fucking video because you weren't even in the video that they were getting trolled on. So
well, the guy didn't know how to spell too, and he's hooked on phonics. It's not just for kids, guy.
But new to the show, and I don't think we've ever had you on any of the shows. With
No.
Scratch Burno from the Discord, been listening to the show for several years now. We've been talking kind of about how you found the show and everything. So it's good to have you on here, man, talking about this really specific subgenre of horror films.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Yeah. So the way I figure we do it is just kind of break down somebody pick a film that they want to talk about in terms of body horror. This goes like a bunch of different ways too. I mean, there's a bunch of possibilities for these movies. So you could be talking about the Cronenberg style flicks. You could be talking about the Meltdown style flicks. You could be talking about the newer ones that have come along. Titane's one that comes to mind, which is a really weird kind of body horror flick. But anyway, the point being, there's a lot of different options here to talk about. So I guess I'll just start going to my right over here.
I was going to ask, just for origin purposes, who was the originator? Would it have been Cronenberg for body horror? I mean,
probably
there had to be something before that.
Yeah, I would think so, before Cronenberg. But I mean, he's definitely the guy that made it mainstream, if you want to call it that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, technically, wouldn't Freaks be body horror?
Yeah, I guess you could put it in that subgenre.
There's a movie I was thinking about,
or even if you could go Wasp Woman, Roger Corman film, which is actually what the substance is, pretty much.
Yeah.
I haven't seen.
I'm trying to think.
It goes way back.
What's a really early movie that you can think about where somebody, lost control? I mean, The Incredible Melting Man it predates all the Cronenberg stuff, and that might be one of the first meltdown kind of movies like that. I'm trying to think of one that would have come before that.
But I can't think of anything. I mean, the earliest stuff I would have seen would have been the Cronenberg stuff. So I guess, he is technically sort of the godfather of it in a roundabout way, bringing it to the mainstream, like you said. Shivers, Rabbit. Of course, The Fly is probably one of my favorites. But yeah, I love all his stuff, though. I mean, it's a fun subgenre. I'm glad to see the substance sort of bringing it back.
Yeah, it brought it back in a big way. I think everybody kind of given up on it, really.
Yeah,
except for the Cronenbergs, the two Cronenbergs, are the only ones that are kind of keeping it out there for everybody.
Yeah.
Well, to you, what defines the term body horror? For example, would John Carpenter's The Thing be body horror?
To me, it would, because it's to me what defines it is horror that comes from within, where something takes over your body, or you lose control of your body, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like diarrhea.
Just like that. Yeah. That's your bowels. That's where you lose control of your bowels. Which kind of almost happens in Jason Goes to Hell, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, I mean, hey, that's body horror, pretty much, right? I mean,
Weird is body horror, like, yeah.
Yeah.
So who knows? So okay, Mark, do you want to start us off? Like, what would be the first one you'd want to talk about?
I don't
What's
even.
the first movie that comes to mind when I say body horror? I'll put it that way.
I mean, probably The Substance, because it's the most recent one that I've watched in the subgenre. I know we've kind of talked about it a bit on like a show or two before this, but I'm trying to think of something else that we haven't talked about recently.
No, I talk about The Substance all day long. I don't care.
So, I mean, everybody on the show, Scratch, you've seen
He
it.
hasn't talked about it.
Yeah, I've seen it.
He's got the poster right behind.
I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. Go ahead.
It's my favorite movie of the year, easily. Okay. I know a few, probably a couple of you didn't see it in theaters, but that was the best way to see it, in my opinion. The sound and just visually, it was amazing in theaters.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that
pissed about that, rubbing it, he didn't get to see it in theaters.
Well, it was a limited release, so not everybody. It wasn't everywhere.
He was real limited in my case. It's like you got 2 days. You got more time to fucking live from The Ring than you do to see that movie.
I mean, the fact that Demi Moore, Margaret Qualley, and Dennis Quaid agreed to be in that movie. They 2 of them didn't have to at all.
Yep.
And I mean, that's major props in my opinion. Like, it was killer. And a good commentary on Hollywood and just how women are viewed. I guess if you want to, it is a feminist film, I guess you'd say. But
yeah, ultimately it is actually. Yeah, in the end. Weird thing about that movie I really didn't know until recently is that I think Paramount is either Paramount or Universal was originally supposed to put it out.
I think it was Universal.
Okay. And then they were like, as they started like seeing more dailies of it and stuff, they're like, we're not doing this. They were like, and then it got picked. That's why it got picked up. I was always curious, how did it get picked up by Mubi or whatever? Like, that's just such an odd, but it had a regular studio attached to it until it got so crazy that it basically just kind of.
And they're probably kicking themselves now because it's getting nominations.
Yeah, it's got all the nominations and everything. And I mean, it's one of those classic examples of a film that a studio probably wouldn't take serious, or at least a major studio. And they missed the opportunity because, like, I know the whole Cannes like screening went over like really, really well, standing ovations, and everybody was loving it. And then like in comes like the bidding war, and then this company picks it up. So, I mean, I'm kind of glad they didn't get it anyway. They don't need it.
No, that's true. They wouldn't have done it like that anyway. Like, there's no way you would have seen all that shit if like a major studio.
The ending would have been probably totally different.
It would have
they would have
completely.
They would have wanted a lot of changes, exactly. Yeah, so it's a good thing that it's like, you know, getting a lot of attention, and you know, it's more so of an original concept that we haven't really seen in a while. So yeah,
this comment it killed me. Commentary on Ozempic. It's actually a lot of things like rolled into one, really. But like that's what makes it such a good movie. Like it's actually like talking about a lot of shit at one time. But
yeah,
the ending of it always reminded me of a movie that I wanted to talk about too, that I still think is highly underrated. I've got this movie on Blu-ray in somewhere, but I couldn't find it. But I thought this was killer because I did find this. Y'all remember these by any chance? The drive-in 2-packs. This is the one with Society and Spontaneous Combustion. And he's got
nice.
But I'm specifically going to reference Society because that's what the ending of The Substance kind of reminded me of. The way that, well, I won't give it away, but like, dude. For some reason, whenever anybody says body horror, there's like 2 films that immediately come to mind, and one of them is Society, because like it's also a satire and like a social commentary.
Yeah.
But it basically saves all that for the very end. And the ending of that movie, I was just, and still am, absolutely just kind of blown away by like what they did with that practical effects and that. And also like just how well it describes the sleaziness of like the wealthy and like how they absorb everything and they kind of like are all enmeshed together with one another. And the sacrifice at the end of it and everything too, which is kind of like the representation of the class system and all that. Like, I just think that movie does not get enough credit to this day. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but
I enjoy it. I think go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I'd say I enjoy it. I've always. How did you first see Society?
God, DVD. Pretty sure it might have been that DVD, actually.
But yeah, I agree with what you said, and the finale, without giving it away, is definitely quirked your eyebrow a bit with the stuff that it's hard to describe.
Shunting.
And yeah, and tried to describe what the hell that is.
When the guy has the ass for a face and he's making the one-liners and stuff, I was like, this is amazing. That's what I knew it was like amazing because it's so stupid, but it's also so disturbing at the same time. Like it's just such a mixture of those things. And I got to believe too, that that's where he got the idea for the face at the end of the substance. Like that's such the face coming out of that's such a society thing.
I could see that. Yeah.
Yeah. Cause that actually happens in that movie too, where like there's the face and the guy's crotch and everything. And like, there's all that different craziness that goes on there.
Did you feel it set itself up for a sequel or no?
I'd love to know how. I would love to have seen a sequel to that or know like how in the hell would you do a sequel to that?
Because they all like, what happened to those characters? I'm trying to remember. It's been a while since I've seen it to the Society. Did they get away with it? I'm trying to remember the ending, like what happened to those characters.
The after everybody like has the big goo fest or whatever. It's gonna call it that.
It's a good way to describe it. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't remember either, Rambo, to be honest. Like, I'm not sure. Like, I thought that they just, maybe I'm wrong. Do they kill that kid? I can't even remember that at this point. It's been a while.
I know the lead escapes.
Yeah.
It's kind of like him, the girl, and I think his buddy walking away, but I didn't remember what happened to the actual.
Even if they did kill everybody in there, I mean, you could easily remake that movie.
Yeah. Now, weren't the effects Screaming Mad George? Is that who did the effects on that?
They definitely look like Screaming Mad George. Who, by the way, did the Guyver and who is probably one of my favorite effects guys too. Yeah, they were done by him. Yeah. Nobody ever talks about that guy, by the way, but he was like insanely good for that time period too.
What do you think about his directing skills?
Well, what did he direct besides
Guyver?
Yeah,
that's a good question.
Because that's just the only one. I'll be honest with you. Like, I really enjoyed like people. They go crazy on me about that because they say Guyver 2 is like so much better and all this stuff, and that I should see that. I really enjoyed the Guyver though.
I think you'll love the second one even more. I mean, it's far more violent, way more bloody than the first one because I think the first film isn't it PG-13.
I think there's a different cut, especially on the one he has. I think there's alternate cut that may be.
There's no way that movie's PG-13. Yeah, the one that I saw anyway.
Because I think there's two.
Maybe at that time.
Yeah, it says PG-13, but I know for sure like that second one is hard R. It's incredibly violent. Like it reminds me of like when people get shot, it's like RoboCop, like the squibs and stuff. Like it's just a ton of splatter. I don't see. I guess his career kind of came to an abrupt halt there, at least for directing. Anyway, yeah, just Guyver. That's pretty much it.
Well, it's funny you bring up that guy's name because I mean, the movie's not body horror, but the effect is. In Nightmare on Elm Street 4, the roach lady, where comes
yeah.
that scene is definitely body horror, and just still grisly today.
Yeah,
That scene works amazingly well too. The way they edited that. Yeah. Remember that it fucking messed with me a lot when I saw it as a kid. Because you don't expect the elbows to break like that, and then when that happens, you're just kind of like, Jesus, that's such a realistic looking effect.
For me, it's when the face comes off.
That's a great one too. Yeah,
yeah.
Like, Jesus. I mean, with the way MPA was back then, I'm surprised it got an R. I mean, to me, it like made sense, but with how stingy they were and how strict they were with Friday 13th, which we all know about. I guess if it's more fantasy, they're a little bit more lenient.
Yeah, probably.
Metalla Mark says They Came From Within is probably my favorite body horror, creepy and fun as hell. I don't know if Cronenberg ever topped it, aka Shivers. Yeah. What a unique movie that was for that time period too.
Oh yeah.
I haven't seen this one, man, or I would love to see it, but I haven't seen it yet. Anybody in here seen Crimes of the Future?
Yeah, the Cronenberg one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got some really, really bizarre. Well, I mean, that's standard Cronenberg trademark right there. It's got some really twisted effects. I don't want to give it away. It's not at all like the original. It's not like that book that's out there, but it's really interesting. I'd say it's worth a watch. I don't know about replay value. How should I put this? Like, it's interesting enough to watch once. I'll just say, it's going to be very make or break with the concept on most people, I think.
Now, wasn't that a script he had for like 20 years or so?
It was, yeah.
So do you think he should have made it 20 years ago, or was this the right time to make it?
I think it probably would have worked better back then, just because he was in a different place at that time. It seems like
because that would have been.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, would that have been around like Naked Lunch or somewhere around that time?
Probably, yeah. Like a little bit after that, yeah. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. I don't want to say he's regressed as a filmmaker. I still think Cronenberg does a good job with whatever he does. You can tell it's all him, but he seemed to sort of move away from the horror stuff with, going into stuff like History of Violence, Eastern Promises. I think what was the other one? Dangerous Method. But I mean, it's still got enough there, I think, that'll satisfy most Cronenberg fans. But whether or not you'd want to own it or watch it a lot, that's completely subjective, of course.
One of my favorite things ever, though, is Carpenter talking shit about Cronenberg from those Masters of Horror dinners. Have you ever seen that clip?
I have seen that clip, yes.
Yeah, look it up on YouTube if anybody out there hadn't seen it. Like, it's for some reason hilarious to hear Carpenter talk shit about somebody else because, like, it's Carpenter. But he's talking about he went to one of the dinners, and I guess he knew Cronenberg from years and years back, but hadn't seen him in a while. And like, he was basically saying that Cronenberg was acting like, a big time artist kind of filmmaker now and wouldn't really talk to him. And Carpenter just like never went back to any of those dinners after that. And I just think that is so funny because Carpenter's such a dick to everybody that just happened to him. It's ironic in a way.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was saying. Like, he seemed to become somewhat of a different type of filmmaker. I guess interests just changed, in the type of films that he was making. But with the change of like genre or even subgenre, he never seemed to like lose his style. I think he's just as good as he was back then. It's just, you can only do that stuff for so long, I think.
Who do you think is... Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Scratch.
I was just going to say his new one even looks like a totally different direction as well. The shrouds.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. And then what was the one? Didn't he do one with what's the fucking guy from Twilight?
Pattinson, yeah, he did.
Yeah, Pattinson, yeah.
Oh,
Can't-
Cosmopolis.
Yeah, exactly. Again, another film where it's like it's such a departure from the Cronenberg of old, at least in terms of subject matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that's more so. I just didn't care for that story. It's just more so the subject matter. I don't think his technique is any worse or anything. That's just my opinion.
Who would you say you prefer, David or Brandon?
Just as a filmmaker
at this point, yeah,
still David. I mean, there's potential for Brandon, but like it's still a little too early in the game for me to say like him. I think he could get there, but we got to see what else he does. He's what, 3 movies in?
It's a hell of 3 movies though. You got to give him that.
Yeah. Oh, did you watch Antiviral?
I actually watched some of it when I found out that who was releasing it recently.
Severance.
So yeah, I didn't want to pay $4,000 to get it from Severance. or if I was going to do that, I wanted to make sure I'd seen some of it before I bought it. So, but well, man, the one thing you got to give that guy too, what interestingly diverse array of fucking movies he's done, just over like 3 movies, like completely. I'm not even sure like how to describe Infinity Pool. Like, if somebody asked me, like, what's that movie about? I'd be like, you really just have to see it. Like, it's one of those things. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, much like David, his films, he tries to make them an experience, which I can appreciate. And he doesn't go too deep into the technology of any of that stuff. Like in Infinity Pool, you don't really know everything about how it all works, or Possessor. Like, you know, just enough to like get through the story and know what's going on.
Yeah. I mean, with Possessor, like I could at least kind of tell you what the plot of that movie is. With Infinity Pool, it's like, maybe a 25%. I could explain anything to you. And then I could tell you that, you know, Mia Goth jerked somebody off while they're pissing, which is still it will remain the most famous scene in that movie too, regardless of whatever happens from now on.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, because
it's just so wrong, and it just doesn't. But anyway, Rambo. Let's move on though. What do you got?
Well, I fear I would pick The Blob. That's back there.
Oh yeah.
When you said that, what did I first think of was The Blob, because that was probably the first one I saw that dealt with body horror type of aspects. Because The Thing I saw later, The Fly, which I love, I saw a bit later, but The Blob, just a film on itself, it's one of my favorite films. It's one of my favorite monster movies. I still think it's underrated. Whether it be, I think the cast is good. I think the effects are amazing. I think that it has a pretty better than people think script. I think it has all the trappings of a classic. It just, back then, even nowadays, it just kind of goes under the radar. But the body horror aspect, I mean, from the hospital sequence, I mean, the cover poster, I mean, both the Laserdisc and the VHS, just that whole thing is still crazy to look at today. And that's definitely a hell of a melt movie from when I think it's the actor from Eraserhead is the doctor, and he pulls open the covers and sees the hobo guy half melted, and it's like that thing from his hand, and then what happens is the poor jock guy get his arm pulled off while Sharksmith's trying to save him. And throughout it, just all the various stuff. I still think it works today. I still think it's a very excellent monster movie, and I think the effects still hold up fairly well, at least in my opinion.
It's wild to me that movie wasn't more popular than it was, really. just based on like the effects. Like people loved effects at that time, especially. And
well, I think the title just people probably assumed it'd just be a silly movie like the original. I mean, whether people liked or disliked the original with Steve McQueen, people looked at this film as a silly concept or silly idea. So they look at, okay, it's a blob. They look at the title. They thought perhaps, oh, this is going to seem too silly, too goofy, too stupid. Just I love the title, The Blob, but for a lot of people, I think that conveys a humorous element, just to say out loud.
well, definitely like a campy
maybe.
element. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
that's kind of what that movie was known for. Yeah. That
So
little
maybe-
song at the beginning of it, the original Blob. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Talmud says, I didn't see the Blob until about a year ago. I liked it, but I felt that Kevin Dillon was miscast. He felt so out of place in that movie to me, and I don't know why.
Oh, I love Kevin Dillon, especially his mullet. But I was jealous of his mullet. But I love Kevin Dillon. It's my favorite role of his. I think you pissed it off.
I tell you another
the strawberry jam.
Another great thing about that movie is it's got kid death in it.
Yeah.
Which you don't expect in that like a mainstream movie like that. Like
Right, yeah.
you don't expect his best friend to get like swallowed up by the fucking thing at the end of it, but it
not only that,
it
but like melted.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So did Shawnee Smith later have kid death rage?
Listen, that's a new concept that I'm trying to copyright, which is I call it RKDS, recent kid death strength. That's where somebody's like kid dies and then they just like for some reason have superhuman ability like and strength. So yeah, that seems to happen quite a bit in horror films for some reason.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, how did you first see The Blob? I mean, for me, it was a VHS back in the day. Was
I was
it
going to say
the
it
same
was,
for others?
it was VHS for me. Yeah.
Cable for me. 90s cable, man.
And actually, for Stretch and Mark, what are your feelings on the film? You liked it? Not like it?
Oh yeah, I love it. It's been one of my favorites since I ever saw it. Before I go any further, I'm curious. Have you seen the original? Do you like that?
Me?
Yeah.
No, I've
Okay.
And I saw the second one, Beware the Blob, as well. The one with the guy from JR. I mean, the Who Shot JR guy directed it. I did not like them at all. I thought
they too slow.
Yeah. When I see this film, it's hard to go back to those because of the effects, the aesthetic, the humor, even like the slasher film within the movie, like all the other elements. It was hard to go back and try to watch them because I don't have that mindset. I just keep thinking, fuck this. I just rather watch that movie again.
Gotcha. Yeah,
me, though.
I mean, going from the remake to seeing the original, I saw it like how you saw it. I saw the remake first, and then I saw the original. Now, keep in mind, this was like 15, 20 years ago that I saw the original. I actually enjoyed it. I don't know how I feel about it now. Like, it's been so long. I'd like to revisit it again. I was surprised with like how the Blob looked in it. It didn't look as bad as I thought it would. That being said, it is not the remake, and I still prefer the remake. So I'll agree with you on that. I'd rather watch the remake if I'm going to watch one of them. Shawnee Smith is great in it. I love all the practical effects. The body melting is great, especially the scene where I think it's her boyfriend in the hospital. He's like reaching out, and then it's like covering his whole body. Always love that. That's one of my favorite scenes in it. Especially the guy in the car with the girl. That's great. He's reaching down
that's
her.
The part
her
that
shirt.
that always stuck with me.
Yeah, it's got so many cool scenes in it. Kevin Dillon is solid as the lead. Yeah, it's got a bit of everything. I mean, you mentioned the slasher film within it that they're watching in the movie theater. That's cool. It's fun flick all around. I got no issues with it. I mean, it's a tiny bit dated with like the CGI, but I mean, what can you do? It still works though. Which the good thing about that is like it's only in like certain small doses, so it's not it's not overdone. they lean far more on practical, which is great.
What about you, Scratch?
Yeah, I like it. I first saw it on TV, and then I ended up renting it and saw it a totally different way after that, because I saw it on, I think it was like TNT or something, so it was edited for TV, and then finally renting it and experiencing what it was. I fell in love with it right away. Well, again, because I liked it the first time, but then seeing it full, I really enjoyed it. Actually, I think there isn't there a remake coming of that.
I'm sure there is.
They
You got
want to.
fucking Tar Man dragging a Christmas tree through the snow, so
Yeah,
I'm sure they'll have a blob. Like,
Yeah, we never got Rob Zombie's blob.
Yeah.
I know that was a thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
who knows? He still might do it.
this
Never know.
the blob just cursing everybody out and just, fuck you, motherfucker, I'm the blob. Fuck you to hell.
No, his concept was it was like a monument and it turned people into like blob zombies walking around.
Blob zombie, get it?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
That's what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
Blob zombie would be a great nickname for that fucker. Oh god. Yeah, Sanitar Man really kind of bummed me out, if I'm being honest.
It really did seem like it did.
It did. I wasn't expecting it, man. I was just like, I was expecting anything else, but I wasn't expecting just like a 2-minute long trailer of a really bad like silhouette of Tar Man dragging a Christmas tree through the fucking
It's a
snow.
teaser, man. You can't show you the whole movie.
But the fact that they brought him in, he's like a character, just drives me fucking crazy, man. Because it's not, he's just a throwaway dude in the first movie. Like,
he's gonna be like Bub from
He's
He's got his fucking head knocked off too. Are they bringing him back? He reattached his head? Like, I guess that's possible. They don't die, so I mean,
yeah.
Sorry, that's really bummed me out. Okay. Scratch, what have you got? Like, what movie do you think?
Well, I'm gonna go a little different. I'm gonna go Guinea Pig, Mermaid in a Manhole. Is you can actually kind of say the whole series is body horror in a way, but that one specifically is more body horror, and it's actually more of a story. So it's like, if anybody's never seen it, that would probably be the best one to start with. It's about a guy who loses his wife, is an artist, so he paints all the time, and he likes to spend his time roaming around sewers for some reason, and he stumbles upon a mermaid that's stuck down there, ends up trying to take care of her, takes her back home, and doesn't properly do it right, so she slowly starts to rot and boils pop up all over, and as they pop, all these different colored fluids come out of her, and she convinces him to use that as his paint to finish his paintings. And then it goes a little further. It has a little twist at the end, so I don't want to spoil that, but it's really good for that series. It's the same director that did the one that's more known in the series. He did the Flower of Flesh and Blood, the one that Charlie Sheen came across, and it's the only 2 of the 5 that he directed, and I think it's actually the only 2 movies he ever did. He was more of a manga artist. He did mangas and a lot of anime stuff, and so it's kind of,
what the these comments are killing me. I'm sorry. Oh, he's lubed the mermaid first.
Well, she is lubed. She's lubing herself.
She's lubed up. She's ready to go.
So
no, man, the weirdest part about that, Scratch, is that like both me and CK have seen that fucking movie, and all those movies, because back in the day I had that DVD box set and we watched it. watched every one of them, like I think back to back, and that's a wild thing to watch. By the way, just if you want to like take time out of your day, just watch all those like back to back. That'll be an interesting day for you. I'll tell you that.
Well, I actually got to see Mermaid in a Manhole in theaters not too long ago, a couple months ago. It was a part of a mystery series, and they would just post a picture from the film to kind of give you an idea. And they posted a picture of the mermaid's face, and I knew exactly right away. I was like, I got to see this in a theater with people, and it went exactly as you think it went. There was a lot of people that didn't know what to expect from that.
Did anybody walk out?
No, everybody stayed.
Okay. That's amazing in and of itself.
Weren't those based on his manga like works?
That's what somebody said over here, yeah.
Oh,
and there's in the chat somewhere.
I think the two he did were the others. I don't know if they were, because those were like other people that worked on those.
I haven't seen these in years, and the one that always stuck out was Flower, Flesh, and Blood, just because, well, for obvious reasons, I don't want to say, but is it shot the same way in the same style? Do they all look like that?
No, Mermaid in a Manhole is has more of a movie feel to it.
Okay.
In a sense, like in a normal sense. The Flower, Flesh, and Blood's more of like more almost like found footage, but not particularly. It's kind of got that feel to it. Now there's a remake though. Actually, Stephen Biro from Unearthed Films did. They brought the American Guinea Pig films back, and it was the first one they did. Bouquet of Blood and Gore, and that one's actually more like a found footage film.
Okay.
When it's basically the same movie, but
I mean, that one's got such a disturbing and creepy quality to it. Just I guess it is sort of like found footage in a way, but it's more of like, I don't want to say shot on video, but there's a little bit of that kind of feel to it as well. I guess it's supposed to be like a bird's eye view into a voyeuristic kind of film. I don't even know how to describe that fucking movie, but yeah, it's interesting to watch. I'll say, I didn't know what to expect going in, but after I finish it, like that one always stuck out to me, just because like there's like little to no dialogue from what I remember. Just the pace of it, the way it goes, it feels like it's actually happening kind of thing. So
yeah, and I don't think there's like too many cuts in it as well. They kind of keep everything in your face pretty much.
Yeah, that's what I remember.
Let's talk about that specific sub to a subgenre real quick. So you could put movies like that, I guess, in the same kind of categories like Human Centipede, Tusk, other movies where like there's a dude, like a crazed or insane guy or something like that, that's trying to do some sort of like body experiment kind of stuff with people. There's quite a few Asian films like that too. What are your guys' thoughts on that specific kind of subgenre or those movies in particular? I know Rambo loves Tusk, by the way, and that's in his top 10.
I fucking despise it.
But not for the reasons of like you're disturbed by it. You just don't like it because you think it sucks, basically.
Tusk is just stupid. But
okay.
I don't like Human Centipede. I think that it was just fucking stupid too. I saw the first one, I saw the third one, I went.
But you got to see number 2.
Nah, I don't need to see those 2 hours.
Buddy, number 2 is a hell of a ride, Rambo. Let me tell you. You think like
but ass to mouth. Yeah, I get it. Third one, I think, is in a prison, and that was enough. I'm like 3 movies just to show more ass to mouth. I didn't need 3 movies to tell that story.
You don't like that gimmick, Rambo? Come on.
Nah, that's never been my kink. I like Jankum.
Look here, boys. Rambo just yells he never had the opportunity to turn Justin Long into his own personal pet walrus.
God. Maybe I'll do it for Tim Smith.
What are other movies like that though? I'm curious. Like where somebody's just basically turning somebody into some sort of weird kind of creation. So you had Human Centipede, you had Tusk, you had that, you had Guinea Pig.
Mm-hmm.
You got Freak Maker with Donald Pleasance.
Freak Maker, you're right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Technically,
also known as The Mutations, but
yeah.
Okay. The Fly 2, kind of. Like we did talk about that one somewhat recently. That's kind of like a crazed guy turning somebody into something unwillingly.
That is its own kind of little weird niche of films.
I never really thought about it till you mentioned it, but it is kind of an interesting subgenre within a genre.
Was that the same thing, but would Frankenstein be it? Take all these body parts, put them together to make.
Technically, yeah. I guess that would be the probably originator of that whole idea.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think though. I know there's more. I just can't think of it off the top of my head. That's a very specific.
Oh God, Carter, Boxing Helena. I remember that.
Boxing Helena. I can put that in there.
That's a movie.
Well, I don't know. It's escaping.
Island of Dr. Moreau.
Island Dr. Moreau is a great example. Yeah. It's a horrible movie, but it's a great example of that particular. Frankenhooker. There we go. Yeah. That's a great example of that too. All those movies are, Frankenhooker and things like that, those are outstanding. All right. So I've got one. I've got several too, but this one in particular never gets any love. This is like the basket case, low rent version of Street Trash. Okay. In my opinion, I only have this on DVD. I'm sure it exists in some other format, but talked about it before. Gregory Lamberson's Slime City. There's also a new Slime City, I'm pretty sure, like a remake.
It's there's a sequel to it, Slime City Massacre.
Yeah, there we go.
Mm-hmm.
This movie, man, like it's got some great effects in it. Like that's the weird thing about it. It's really low budget, like much more low budget than even like Street Trash, but like has some really quality effects. And it's just about this dude that lives in this apartment building, and he there's this supernatural kind of cult of these women that are trying to through him kind of resurrect this and have his body be possessed by this old kind of like cult figure to bring him back to life. But as that's happening, his body is slowly kind of like melting. Mm-hmm. And he goes around and kills people while he's in this like weird kind of melting state. And it just it looks a lot like this. Like actually, like it looks a lot like the dude from RoboCop. like that's what the makeup on him kind of looks like. But there's a lot of visual kind of like bright colors, like in Street Trash, like your purples and your greens and yellow, like shit, just kind of slime all over him all the time. I really think that movie is fun though. Like I like Body Melt, which is like it's Vinegar Syndrome put that one out, and that's not the same kind of movie exactly, but like I prefer movies like this, like Street Trash and Slime City when I go in for something like that.
I've seen Street Trash. I love it. I haven't seen Slime City.
You need to see it. It's like the what's that guy's name? The J.R. Bookwalter version of Street Trash. Like that's what it reminds me of.
Is that a good thing?
I mean, it is to me because I kind of do like Dead Next Door, but even though it's just super low budget. That's what I'll say. Like it's very, very low budget, but they spent all the money on the effects clearly, and it works pretty well. I haven't seen the sequel, by the way. I don't know if that movie's any good. Scratch, like no.
When did Slime City come out?
Late 80s, I think.
Yeah, the original one came out in
probably 88, maybe.
I want to say 87 or 88.
Yeah.
89. Okay.
And what else did that director do?
That and the sequel.
Oh,
I don't know. Gregory Lamberson, I'd have to look him up. I don't think he did a whole hell of a lot.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's one that I don't have, but I've seen it just that one time, and I think I got the DVD. This is back when Netflix was still like doing the DVD thing. You know, they'd send them in the mail.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's how I saw that one. But yeah, I gotta check it out again. It's been a long time.
I'm trying to remember. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Mark.
Wasn't there like a comedy element to it as well? Like somewhat?
Yeah, it's kind of goofy.
Kinda.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, the woman that he's attracted to across the hall also plays his girlfriend as well.
Yeah. She plays like dual roles in it, but she's got like a black wig on at one time and a blonde. She's a blonde. But, so I don't know why, maybe to save money for the casting, but yeah. She does fairly well in it, though. I got to give her credit. But I'm trying to actually remember when the fuck I met Gregory Lamberson because he signed this. So at some point I met him, but I swear to you, I don't remember it. I was probably on absent, but that's just the way it was back then. So, but yeah, Slime City's great. And so is, I might as well just bring this one into the conversation anyway. So is Street Trash. Street Trash might be like another one that I automatically think of when somebody says like body horror. Like it's just
same.
It's just so over the top and so fun. It's like a trauma film, but better effects. Like somehow it just works in every possible way. And plus the fact that what's the dude's name? I'm trying to remember. Frumke's, Roy Frumke's had something to do with it. Really like kicks it up a notch because his work with Romero and stuff.
Right.
For me. But yeah.
Yeah. That one, like it's got such a unique feel. I mean, because it's like it's all locations. The way they shot it, like even like the actors, if you'd even call them actors, the people that are cast in it, like everything looks so authentic, like from the dirt on everybody, and like just it's great. I mean, it's the type of movie that like you don't see that style of movie today, and it's almost impossible to do that again. I mean, I'm pretty sure that he was.
Well, they did remake.
They did, but listen,
it's not the same though.
No,
did everybody see that?
I've seen it. Yeah, I don't think Rambo's seen it.
I didn't see all of it. No, I started it and I was like, I don't know if I was really into that one.
I'll give it a look one day.
I thought the special effects were great in it, but I think that the cast was really
the guy from Fried Berry and his little sidekick were the best thing.
That should have been like shit like that should have been through the whole movie.
Did you see the scene at the very, very end of the movie after the credits?
No, I don't think so. I don't think
there's an extra scene with them.
With him?
With him and his little sidekick, yeah.
Dude, is it worth finishing? Like, should I go back to it? Like, I mean,
I wasn't the biggest fan of it personally, because I'm a fan of the first one. The first one felt so lived in compared to the new one. The new one,
that's a good way to put it.
Yeah. It's about homeless people, but it felt really clean and open in a weird way.
Yeah, see that.
Yeah, well, it's mostly I think because like you can clearly tell that like some set designer just came in there and threw a bunch of shit together like within like an hour. But in the original Street Trash, like that's just real.
That's how it was.
Shit,
exactly.
You know? Yeah.
Well, the director, didn't his parents own the junkyard that they filmed in?
Yes, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the effects, like I said, like the body melt effects in it probably surpass anything that you've seen with like Street Trash. But he's scratches right though. It doesn't have the same feeling. It doesn't have the same kind of like this is a real kind of place and these people really exist and things like that.
That's the first thing I noticed.
the only person that really gives me that vibe is that dude, that fried berry guy. Like
Mhm.
every scene with him in it is 1,000 times better than every other scene. It's like that dude should have been like the main guy, and that should have just been the progression of the movie.
Well, really, it could have been called something else. It could have not been street trash just because of how they do the movie. Like the whole Viper thing really isn't even a part of the movie.
It's not in at all. No. Well, that is like they briefly mentioned it. You're right, but it's not like it's not like a big part. The biggest part of it is just that they're trying to invent something to kill off all these homeless people. That's kind of like a
It's like they're fuming them pretty much.
Yeah. And it just causes them to melt.
Should use Jankum.
Jankum does the same thing. He causes them to melt. But yeah, the original Street Trash had so much killer stuff in it, though. Like not just the stuff we talked about, but like the toilet scene, and of course the dick scene, and like everything in that movie is just so far out there.
Yeah, it is.
And the colors are amazing. Like they try to replicate that in the new one that just came out, but it just
I will say the effects in the new one were pretty good. But
I
mean, yeah.
One thing I also like about the original Street Trash, because I haven't seen the remake to be fair, is the characters. Whether it be Bronson, I think it's the villain, the war vet, the guy.
Yeah.
I don't know what else he did, but I thought he was actually pretty good. And then James Lorenz, who was in Frankenhooker, he has a good part, but it's like, this your apprentice melted down the stairs. So yeah, the cop guy who was like a big tough guy, like from any other 80s cop movie.
Yeah,
but he had good intensity to him, so the characters definitely stuck down in a good way. The guy stealing all the food and putting down his pants.
Yeah, that guy was great.
I got my receipt. This says it's dog food. Well,
they just made back at that time, and they just made films that were. They just can't replicate that. I don't know how to explain what they were doing, but it just like. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, there's a layer of like authenticity to like the whole movie. You just don't see that in movies anymore. Like, especially like a remake. Like, that was the first thing I noticed when I started it. I was like, this doesn't have any of that. So automatically, like, I was kind of checking out. So I didn't even bother finishing. But I might go back to it.
All right, Mark, you're up. What you got?
Well, shit. I don't have anything at the moment.
I'll put you on the spot.
You did.
Bug with you.
Come back to me. I'll think of one.
All right, Rambo, what do you got?
Well, the next I was going to talk about is the stuff.
I was hoping you were going to talk about that. Yeah, because that was like one of my ones I definitely wanted to mention too.
Chocolate Chip Charlie.
I love
Garrett Morris. Yep.
But yeah, for those who may not have seen it, who do come across this video, Larry Cohen, may he rest in peace. Great guy that could just come up with very interesting, original ideas or really carry them through. Pretty much imagine finding oil, but in this case, it's some bits of white stuff in the ground that people dig up and use for a type of yogurt that's released across the country that people get addicted to it. But not only that, it's slowly, as it says, are you eating it or is it eating you? Yep. And it's consuming them from the inside, turning them into zombies. And I guess sometimes when push comes to shove, you get these crazy melting effects, or they'll punch or kick and like a body part will just fall off, or all sorts of stuff. It has a good sense of humor. It has a good cast. Michael Moriarty is the lead.
Michael Moriarty acts like he's in a different fucking movie, and that's always I've always loved that about the stuff.
Yeah,
like he's just out there so far, like with his acting, that it's amazing.
Yeah, in this he has a bit of a southern accent. His name is Bo. I think he says the line, "My name's Mo Rutherford. Just when I get money, I just want more."
Right.
He's trying to be a bit Columbo, where he's acting dumb, and it's like, oh, you're not as dumb as you think. He's like, nobody is as dumb as I'm trying to be. Like, he says a line like that. Pretty much, he conveys supposed stupidity, but he's the smartest guy in the room. So I like that type of character. You have the kid whose entire family has been consumed, and he's trying to warn people. So he's like trying to destroy everything in the store. And I did because kind of like a infected movie in a way, because the people have been consumed by it. And Paul Sorvino is hilarious as the, I don't want to say military, but the, I don't know what you call his group of people, like waiting for the award to come.
Yeah.
Survivalist type of guys.
Oh
Militia.
yeah, apocalypse kind of.
Yeah.
What do they call them? Doomsday preppers. Yeah.
Yeah, and just how serious he takes it. He's a great actor. He was a lot of fun. So, but yeah, the stuff, and it's a great take on not just consumerism, but about how there be things like cigarettes or even fast food, all sorts of stuff that it may not be good for you, but we still keep using it. We still keep eating it. We still keep consuming it, even though it's destroying us, and just how kind of a crazy mindset that could be. I remember they destroyed one of the stuffs, and in the same frame as a McDonald's restaurant right next to it, which I guarantee was done on purpose. But I'm guessing probably the first thing Larry Cohen was thinking of is like the cigarettes, where, you know, we know what they'll do, but people still buy and consume them, even though they're eating you up inside. I would bet that was his frame of mind, as well as I guarantee there was stuff, especially in the 80s, that stuff like this that they say is okay to eat and is artificial, but who knows
Pretty
what
much
the hell they were really doing.
Pretty much everything, yeah, in the 80s and 90s. Like, there was one thing that came out. I wish I could remember the name of it, but I can't anymore. But it was like some sort of something that made stuff like low calorie or fat free, and it caused people to have like anal leakage. And like, so they pulled it off the market. Like, so you're just sitting there, and then all of a sudden your asshole starts leaking, and that's like one of the side effects. Like, probably not the best thing to have. It was
Weight
fairly,
loss.
it was fairly popular too. Like, it became like a big thing for maybe like a year, and then they figured out it was causing people's assholes to fall out. So they sadly took it off the market. Curtis says it was Jamie Lee Curtis's yogurt. that will also cause your asshole to fall out, no doubt. No, but I tell you a part about that movie that doesn't get talked about enough that I love. This dude's right. It's called Alestra. Yeah, look it up. It was an actual thing they put in potato chips and stuff back in the day. Yep. Thing about this movie that I always love that people don't talk about, though, is the invasion of the body snatchers kind of aspect of it, to where his family kind of gets taken over by the stuff, and then they're all just like, hey, you need to eat this, you know, we've got all this down here for you to eat, and they keep trying to like get him to come down and eat it. And just I love that whole angle to where they're being taken over, and they kind of like are trying to infest people or infect people with it too.
Yeah, he faked it with shaving cream, and then when Michael Moore already picks him up and he's throwing up, oh, I ate shaving cream. He's like, well, son, we all have to eat shaving cream once in our life.
Lines like that. It's like, why? Yeah. Oh, Jesus Christ. That's a great movie though, Rambo. Good pick. Scratch, what do you got?
I'm gonna say Altered States.
Yes.
Ken Russell movie.
Russell, yeah.
That's actually another one I just recently saw. I saw it on 35, and I hadn't seen it in, it had probably been a decade at least since I had seen it, and still awesome. It gets a little goofy in parts, especially like when he first transforms and he's running around the city a little bit and goes to the zoo, but still awesome. Crazy visuals in it, and the sound design is awesome in it. John Hurt, it was his first film.
William Hurt,
excuse me. His first film. So, I mean, that's pretty awesome to start with that. A pretty heady role. And hell, he even gets naked in it twice. But that's probably Ken Russell's most accessible film. And I know there was something that was said before the screening that the screenwriter who wrote the story wanted it exactly, every line said exactly like the script. Ken Russell didn't like that. He wanted to change stuff, so they went back and forth on this. Ends up he didn't change anything, but if you watch the movie, when people are drinking or eating or any of that stuff's involved in the scene or they're mumbling, it's because he hated those lines and he was basically giving the writer a middle finger.
That's it. I'll have to watch it again just knowing that. I didn't know that. Yeah.
Yeah, it just the whole isolation tank, and that's kind of like the start of that whole movement, I guess. Very primitive at the time, but still what they do with it's pretty effective.
Yeah, you're right. I was thinking that too, like the whole idea of they call them something else too, those isolation chambers like that too, where you just kind of go in there and people lose their fucking minds and stuff, like eventually, like, but
deprivation and all that.
Yeah, sleep deprivation, all that kind of stuff too. But yeah, the subconscious stuff that was in that movie too, where it was kind of like a play on all your subconscious coming out. It was a wild movie for 19. Hell, year did that come out? 70.
What year was that? I got it right here. I think it was 81. 1980.
1980. Okay.
Would you be an isolation tank? Let's say they would give you like, I don't know, $100 or something.
Yeah, not for $100. Fuck no. You give me like, let's see, what would it take to get me an isolation? Now, how long are we talking, Rambo? Just out of curiosity.
Well, I'm trying to think how long they usually are. Let's say 3 hours.
3 hours would be a long time.
I was going to say, you'd probably go fucking nuts.
Okay, so, an hour.
For an hour in an isolation tank.
1 hour.
I'll put you this way. I was in an hour one time in a fucking MRI machine, and it kind of simulated that.
Okay.
Because you got about 3 inches of space to look up, and you can't hear shit, and it's just like absolute kind of like just solitude for that period of time. And I wanted to get the fuck out of there immediately. So I can imagine just complete, like nothing like that for an hour.
Well, how much would it be for an hour?
50 grand. I'll take 50 grand. You put me in there for an hour.
Patreon, get on it. Give 50,000. Get him actually film it for the YouTube channel.
But also in the movie, he's not actually just getting in the tank every time. He's actually taking this psychedelic.
Right.
I don't even know. They don't even really say what it is. He gets from Mexico. He takes a trip to Mexico and meets this tribe, and he takes this wild trip in a cave with them, and actually convinces them to let him have some. So he continuously takes it. So he's losing his mind and doing the tank as well. So he's just completely going to another level.
I'd do it for $100. I'd stay in one for an hour.
Like Rambo.
Yeah. I'd probably fall asleep.
Would you take like some random Mexican psychoactive drug and also get in there for $100?
Well, that and maybe not 100, maybe like 1,000.
Be in there tripping balls for $1,000.
Give me 1,000, and I'll post it on YouTube.
You come out thinking you were a fucking wolf or something, though. Like you'd be so messed up.
That's pretty hilarious.
It'd be like that dude that like was barking at people and stuff.
What? There was?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's a whole subgenre of people that think they're animals. I don't know. That's a whole other story.
Yeah.
But Altered States, going back to Altered States for a second. Yeah.
It's a good movie. I like it.
It is a good movie. It's weird because like there was a whole bunch of movies that were messing around with ideas like that around like the late 70s into the early 80s, like especially like the Cronenberg stuff, and then that too. Like they were messing around with those kind of ideas. The Brood comes to mind. That one comes to mind. Like most of those kind of films for that was back when they actually let filmmakers do experimental kind of stuff. They don't do that anymore, but yeah. Or much.
Also, if you're a fan of the band Godflesh, some of the images that are flashed on the screen are they used as their first album, with the people being crucified with the flames. Yeah. That's an image from that. And also some of the scenes in there from those trip scenes are taken from Dante's Inferno. It's the old silent film. Actually, TerrorVision released it not too long ago. Just a little side note on that.
That's killer. TerrorVision's mad at me right now, so
I'm mad at them. They haven't sent my shit. They've sent my shit.
They're gonna send my shit. Don't worry.
They said December. We're halfway through. Where is it?
Poor old TerrorVision. Mark, I'm counting on you right now. Pull one out of your ass.
Actually, but I was gonna talk about the stuff, so let me think of another one.
I stole it there.
Yeah. Only because, like, I got a couple in my head, but those are like ones that we've talked about so many times before. I was trying to think of something a bit more obscure.
All right. Well, let me throw this one out at you real quick then.
Okay.
I'll tell you if you remember that, or if you've even seen this one or remember.
Okay.
Do you remember that Alex Winter film Freaked?
Yes.
It needs to be re-released.
Yes, it does. Like that movie I used to mark out for when I was a kid. It would come on. I think it came on HBO or something. One of those two, one of those cable channels.
I think that's where I first saw it. Yeah. And Anchor Bay put it out on DVD.
Is it still in print? It can't be anymore. It's got to be out of print.
No. I still have the DVD
because I don't have it on anything. But like I can vividly remember it is the weird thing, because you had Randy Quaid, who was like the owner guy, like the sideshow guy that had that machine, and I forget what he called it. It was something stupid, like the Freak Maker or something like that. And he would just like put people in it, and like they would turn them into freaks. And then the Alex Winter one was, he comes in with the big thing on the side of his head.
Yeah.
It's a great comedic kind of like body horror kind of film where he's just turning everybody into these freaks and stuff that are living there.
Keanu Reeves is in that as well.
He's the dog face guy. Or what? Yeah. There's like a giant worm. It's just called like Worm or something.
Yeah.
Like, they're not really that creative with it, but I just always will remember that movie. It will live in my brain rent free forever. But that's an obscure one, though. You said, Mark. Like,
that is very obscure.
Talk about.
Well, I think, at least before tonight ends, definitely got to mention The Fly, at least. Because that's another one that came up with body horrors, The Fly, Cronenberg's film.
Do you think that's the most famous body horror movie? I think it is.
I would say so, yeah.
Yeah. Because that came out in the summer of Aliens and held its own.
Mm-hmm.
It may not be everyone's favorite Cronenberg film, but I would say it was perhaps his most popular. I guess some could say maybe Scanners, but it seemed like The Fly felt more popular, at least in the pop culture.
Yeah, I feel like it was more mainstream than Scanners for some reason. That one scene was, got out there in the cultural kind of got zeitgeist, but like, yeah, I think that overall The Fly was more universally kind of known.
And that's the film I love, the Fly remake. That's, the three great remakes of the 80s, The Blob, The Thing, The Fly. And I think Jeff Goldblum did a fantastic job. It's one of his best performances, as well as Gina Davis.
Yeah.
And just as a great take on, I think at the time it was about someone could live with AIDS and other stuff, just how you get something happens to you, just how you fall apart step by step. And the effects are still grisly. Especially the fingernails slowly
Oh
pulled
yeah,
off.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The one that always gets me is his teeth, man. Where he's standing in the mirror and he like starts to fucking pull his teeth. I'm like, it's still to this day, like stuff like that. Just I don't know.
And the puking scene on the guy's leg and all that stuff.
His hand,
On his hand too, yeah. Where he's
Yeah.
just like
When he
Wait.
snaps the guy's arm.
that.
Arm
See,
wrestle.
that's another
Oh, yeah.
because that shit. Like sometimes you'll just randomly be on Instagram or something, and you'll see some asshole put up a video of somebody breaking their arm doing arm wrestling. That shit just bothers me to no end. Like when I see something like that. But yeah, the idea of like ugh, those kind of fractures is ugh.
That was a little more than just a fracture. I mean,
Yeah. You're right. Yeah.
It may
But
seem random, but
yeah,
in the flight, did you have a favorite look, like when he was first turning it, or the last look of it, or was there a certain section of his metamorphosis that you preferred over
that's a
the
good
rest?
I like
the
the
very end for me. I mean,
well, the very end is like I like the weird version where he's first started like to crawl up the fucking wall and stuff, where he's
Mhm.
still somewhat human, but he's like, you know, becoming
super
whatever that is.
athletic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that your scratch, or is there another?
Yeah, I like that. I like the image of him perched up in the corner on the ceiling.
All fucking weird and owl like, yeah. It is weird because it's a mainstream movie, but it shouldn't be. The Fly remake. I mean, like it's somehow snuck in there.
Mm-hmm.
I guess maybe because of the actors involved. Like if you didn't think about that movie without like Gina Davis and Jeff Goldblum, it probably would be on the same. People look at it the same way as like The Brood or something like that. It just wouldn't be. You know, it would people be more kind of freaked out by it. I feel like.
Yeah, I remember hearing this story about like when it first came out that people were not really knowing that it was going to go as gross out and as far as it did, and they were expecting something completely different, and everybody was like sick by the time the movie was over.
This isn't the Vincent Price I know.
Yeah.
Well, it definitely helped that it had a big studio like Fox behind it, so they put some money into the marketing so that to actually get it out there that people know it exists, and also just give it enough of a budget that it looks slick enough to be a mainstream feature.
Well, that was his biggest budget at the time, right?
I would think it would be.
I would too. You had to be, yeah, because it was a remake, so I'm pretty sure they probably put in some money into it just based on that alone too. Because at least it had some name recognition.
Aren't there some people that feel? I mean, I don't feel this way. That they felt he sold out with that one. Like, oh, he's doing mainstream shit. Like,
well, I mean, when you see the movie, I can't really think that. You know what I mean? Because like it's not like he pulled any punches or anything. If anything, he went even more like.
No, just I've seen that in the ethers. That's why I brought it up. It's like
that's crazy that
I was doing studio shit. Okay, Mr. Bit. I guess he's John Carper. Maybe it was John Carper. Maybe he said it.
Right.
Well, he waited a few years to come back with that and do Crash. You know.
I was going to ask about that. What the fuck genre does Crash fall under?
Romance.
Yeah,
I mean,
they have sex.
Fuck you, Brad Answer, Rambo. That's killer.
I know you love romance.
Oh, romance. I mean, that's not really body horror, and I don't know what subgenre that is.
Well, I would almost say it is because they're fascinated by the harm that's happened to the body, right? From the wrecks.
That's what they really do, yeah.
And I mean, they even use holes for other purposes in that movie.
Yeah. Thank you, Carter. Isn't Carter the one that made us watch that fucking movie? I'm pretty sure he is.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Jesus.
You had not seen it before then?
No, I don't think I'd ever seen. Well, I take it back. I may have seen it or parts of it before that, but like it for some reason was like etched out of my mind. But going back and watching the whole thing all the way through, I was like, "What in the fuck?" It's like to me like his biggest what the fuck film of like where you're just like, what? What's going on?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many like crazy fetishes, and like he picked that one like to actually make a movie on and explore the ideologies of people that are into that kind of thing. And it's a very out there film.
Well,
Oh,
really, I don't think it's too much different from like a lot of his stuff, because a lot of his stuff kind of has a sexual undertone to it. So he just kind of amplified it with that one, I think.
Yep, he definitely amplified it. he went full like, yeah.
If you guys want to see something funny, look up the Siskel and Ebert review, and they just argue that they fight each other over the movie.
I can only imagine. Like, let me guess, it would be Siskel that hated it, right? And Ebert that liked it.
I think so. Yeah,
I mean, he was always the more kind of conservative one.
it was a pretty hilarious fight. Did they really get pissed at each other?
Yeah. Body modification. That's actually pretty. Yeah. That's a pretty good point. So, I mean, we could talk about Cronenberg's whole friggin' body of work, and it would all kind of fit into that mostly, except for some of the later stuff. But, I mean, you've got Shivers, you've got The Brood, you've got Scanners, you've got Rabid.
Videodrome.
Videodrome. That might be the ultimate cult body horror movie for me, too.
Naked Lunch.
Naked Lunch, yep.
I want to ask quick about Videodrome. Did you see it when it got to the finale? Just there are people that go in different directions. It was all in his head what he was seeing, so in reality he was just shooting a regular gun. Or do you think because of what was going on, he really did form into these? He physically was changed because of what was going on, and the. Just some people go different, like because of the tumor and all the other things going on. He really did form these kind of physical alterations, or that in reality, when he was at the end, he was just shooting people regularly, and we're just seeing it from his mind that's what he thinks is happening, is these crazy sci-fi stuff.
That's an interesting question. I mean, I always looked at it as like that was actually happening. The effects of what you're seeing can physically change you. Obviously, it's metaphorically speaking, but
to some people go, "Oh, he's only thinking that," and so what people are seeing is he's just a random gunman killing people, and the guy just fell and died. But he's just seeing it that way because his mind's been altered from the tumor. So I guess some people,
I could see why somebody would think like that. I always just took it like what Mark was saying, though, which is like that was just the end result of
face value.
Yeah, that was the end result of kind of like his trip down that rabbit hole, and he kind of turned into that as a result. But like you look at American Psycho, and there's people that still are trying to, say that is that all in his head, or was that shit actually happening? I think in Psycho it's in his head, but for some reason I think in Videodrome it's actually playing out.
Well, I mean, in American Psycho, the ATM says "feed me a cat." So,
yeah, well, yeah, but he's crazy as shit too. So it's I'm telling it like.
Okay, so on Videodrome, would you guys watch the channel if you had access to it?
No,
not particularly. No.
Yeah, seeing like end results, probably not.
Well, if you didn't know the results, if you stumbled across
no.
Yeah, I mean, even what they were showing probably wouldn't interest me all that much. So no.
But I've never been a big Fred Vogel fan, so I like Fred Vogel as a person. I just don't need to watch that shit. So we got a super chat real quick. Carter says, "Are Alien and Eraserhead body horror?" I think so.
I would say Razorhead at least, for sure.
Yeah. Alien has the scene, with the little parasitic side
chest burster.
That's kind of body horror.
Mm-hmm.
The thing about Alien though is that there's just that one scene. Like I don't know if it really qualifies as a whole movie of that, because the rest of it is all based on like external stuff happening.
Unless you watch the director's cut where the person becomes the egg, where they put the bodies, and then you see Tom Skerritt's remains. He's slowly be turned into an egg, and he's like, "Kill me, kill me," and Ripley's got to burn it. So maybe that version, because that definitely a body horror type, slowly turn into an egg.
There's a lot of interesting questions. A lot of theories being thrown out tonight that I never would have predicted.
I'm surprised you didn't put up one of the best body horror movies ever. Where's Cabin Fever? Like,
Shut.
We didn't mention that at all. Come on.
First of all, that's an infected person's movie.
It affects the body.
Unfortunately. Second of all, even if I thought it was a body horror film, I would never fucking talk about it ever. I mean, I guess in some ways it is, and the fact that like it changes people and they kind of blow off or whatever you want to call it. But it sucks. So
have you seen, I haven't seen the movie, but it was on the thumbnail, Body Melt?
Yes, it's Vinegar Syndrome put it out.
How's that?
It's not bad. Like I was saying earlier, it's not like to me as good as like Slime City or Street Trash or anything like that. But
it's Australian.
It is Australian. It's okay.
So are marsupials melting or something?
Yes, there are kangaroos melting. If you've never,
I gotta see this movie then. Does Red Brown scream and shoot him?
Yeah.
That's a different Halloween.
But it is. I'll put it this way. It's much more of a black comedy, I think. And something about Australian black comedies that just they're weird. They're just fucking not. They don't hit as well with me as just like, you know, when they try to do like stuff like Street Trash is kind of a dark comedy too, but they've got a different sense of humor. And it does touch on like, because it's about this guy who orders these like pills that are like diet pills basically from this fitness craze that's going around, and people start taking them and shit, and then they start to explode basically. Like there's all these weird side effects to them. But it's just, I don't know. I've never really got into Australian films that much. Even the ones that people always talk. That's a whole other story for another day. But even the Australian films people fucking love, like for some reason, I just don't like them that much. Like I don't like, what's the one, Stanley? I don't like God, I don't even want to say that. I'll probably be crucified on here. I'm not a huge fan of the Mad Max films. If I can, what else? Name an Australian film, and I probably don't like it. Howling 3, I do love.
Isn't
that's different?
Road Games one?
Road Games. It is, yeah. That one's okay.
Yeah, I love that one.
Yeah, it's fun.
And real quick, like the best.
Yep.
That's a knife.
What about Kangaroo Jack?
Oh God.
I have a bit of a story with that. I don't mind that, but that was because I was going through something in life and I saw like this really stupid movie, but it cheered me up. So as bad as it may be, I can't hate that movie.
Well, fuck, Rambo. I stepped right into that one.
No, don't care.
There was another one that he made too, though. What was the other one that Paul Hogan made that was like Lightning Jack? That one always like fucking. That dude had the weirdest career. Anyway, Undead is not that bad. Yeah, you're right. I can give you that one.
And real quickly, just in the chat to Alan, in the director's cut of Alien, yes, if you looked at the commentary, if you looked at stuff online, it is the original idea that they wanted was that the way the xenomorphs mate the eggs is because they take people and actually turn them into eggs, because he never thought of a queen idea. That was James Cameron's idea. In fact, I don't think really was really big into that idea, because again, to his idea, the xenomorph would take victims and actually, by cocooning them, then they would slowly melt and become an egg, and that would be the cycle of how that worked. Because again, the queen didn't come in until James Cameron. That was his idea. So, interesting idea that I'm sure could be employed in other subgenres, but that was the initial idea they wanted for the original. But they cut it out, which is fine. It wasn't needed, but it's definitely interesting seeing.
We did discuss that, Al.
Yeah.
Oh fuck, Bobby's here.
Bye-bye.
Go ahead, Rambo.
Okay, yeah. So we're talking about comedy movies. Well, we did talk about some, and I did laugh. Well, I'm not laughing at Tusk because that ain't a comedy. That's torture porn to me. What am I laughing? I'm laughing at Kevin Smith's face. I dare Uncle Bill to watch Scary Movie 5. I dare him to watch that shit.
Is Scary Movie 5 the one that has Shaq in the beginning with the saw?
I think that's the fourth one. I think the fifth one is I think that's the one where there's a scene where the vacuum cleaners and air filters by the pool are having a party orgy. Because it's trying to be like Paranormal Activity 2, where it looked at the pool, but in this case, it's
I miss
all
that
of them
one?
having an orgy. How do you miss it? That's a good question.
So there's one other weird fucking subgenre of like this body horror thing I want to talk about before we get off here, and that is the mostly Asian style films that kind of, I guess, when I think about it, ripped off Videodrome, like Tokyo Gore Police and those Tetsuo films and stuff like that, like that were shit. Like people are turning into machines and guns, and their bodies are kind of transforming into all this different things. Like, what do y'all have you all seen these? Meatball Machine's another one, yeah. Like, what are your thoughts about those films?
I'm unfamiliar with that.
I mean, it's like ridiculous amounts of blood. I know that's kind of like their signature style. I think that's Tokyo Gore Police, where I remember the beginning, like the chick gets her legs cut off or whatever, and like the blood's like spraying out of her legs. Like the pressure of it is so high that like she's floating.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous. There's that, and there's the other one. Was it One Chen Ichibra? Like all those movies are just
Machine Girl is another one.
Machine Girl, yeah. I saw that when it came out.
They're so ridiculous. I mean, they're okay. I don't own really any of them, honestly. I mean, I do have some Asian horror movies, but like those are not like stuff that I frequently watch.
The one that brought to mind when you said that was Tetsuo the Iron Man.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that being a pretty big one, which I remember it was black and white, and it was hard to discern like what was going on.
Very experimental.
Yeah. I can't describe that movie. I would fail that test to describe it.
Well, there's a second one as well, and it's basically it's the same director, but he pulls the Sam Raimi Evil Dead 2 thing, where he basically remakes the movie, bigger budget, in color. But in my opinion, I like the first one better. It's still good, better quality, but I like the experimentalness of the first one, the noisy abrasiveness of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
We got a couple super chats here. Bobby is back.
I thought I read it as he walked into two guys. What are they doing? Showering? Looking good, boys. Looking real good. Looked at the movie, said, what happened? That's why he said with Tetsuo. I was wondering what the fuck's happened.
Yeah.
Oh, believe me. Oh, that last one. That's an in-joke. Someone in a stream long ago was trying to be funny and making fun of me, but that's how he spelled inbred. He spelled it B-R-E-A-D. So he's like he's trying to
inbred, like a sandwich.
Yeah, that's how he spelled it. It's like the people that spell fuck F-U-K.
Yeah.
It's like, what? That happens. Yeah.
All right, new guy. Do you have a channel that Fred can sub to? I'm assuming he's talking about you, Scratch.
I have a channel, but I don't do anything with it. So
You need to get to it because you have a fan club. So let's.
Oh.
Yeah, Fred, you might have seen him. He's been on my streams. I know stuff. Scratch Burno. You might recognize the name Predator. That's why it's cool to finally meet you, man.
I wish I could put some of these comments up, but I can't because we would get banned immediately from YouTube. But we have another super chat. Incredible Belting Man. I actually mentioned this one really early on in the stream. Great effects, bungle concept, boring movie. I completely agree with all those statements.
I haven't seen the movie. What makes it boring?
There's nothing about that movie to give a single shit about except the guy melting.
Okay.
And the lady running through the glass door. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I forgot about that. You're right.
What?
So a nurse at the hospital, she freaks out and she runs through the glass door to escape.
Yeah.
Let's see. Somebody else coming. But yeah, I think we've covered about all of the different angles of the body horror genre that you can cover for right now.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few others, but
oh yeah, I mean, there's always gonna be others, yeah.
And then the fine line of like where you like stop with it in a way is kind of hard to discern because you do have stuff like The Relic, which you could kind of consider that body horror in a way, or maybe I guess Beast Within would be, but it's
Beast
still
Within definitely would be to me, yeah.
Yeah,
I'll mention that real quick.
Body Parts,
yeah.
Jeff Fahey classic.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I love it. I mean, especially the fact the guy he'd pretty much go around just ripping up. I like the idea of someone wanting to rip other people's body parts to get his body parts back that was taken from him in the first place.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What about Extro? Fred wants to know.
Fuck Extro.
Look, everything somebody says, you just fuck like whatever. Look, you know what the problem here is?
A bunch of stuff.
Is Rambo? You just don't like anything. We all know this. You don't like anything. Hate everything. Hate not everything.
Is Extro that great of a movie?
Yes, fucking masterpiece.
I'll take
Possession from not the drunk. You want to talk about fuck a movie? Fuck that movie. Possession from 1981.
But fuck Possession as well.
Jesus Christ, that movie's fucking sucks. It's like 2.5 hours. What is it, like 2 hours 45 minutes long or something too of just Sam Neill and.
That's why you don't like it, Sam Neill.
I mean, I don't hate Sam Neill as much as CK, but like I don't need to look at him for 3 hours almost either when he's writhing around some chick.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is kind of a body horror movie now that I think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The Hidden comes to mind. Kind of.
Yes. Can we discuss the original Lion King? I mean, we could, but I'm not sure what the hell that has to do with this. But
you don't remember the body horror aspect of the Lion King?
I'm trying, but no, I don't.
With them hyenas.
So okay,
that's also body horror.
Body
Holy
horror.
shit. That fat ass. Fuck Whoopi Goldberg.
Who says out of nowhere, fuck Whoopi Goldberg?
The View. Ever since she got on that piece of shit show. Fuck
She's a Jumpin' Jack Flash, Rambo. She's a national treasure.
I love that Whoopi.
Yeah.
I love that Whoopi, but now she's pure Whoopi. Whoopi the fucking doodah. Ever since you got The View with those bitches.
Does anybody give a fuck about does anybody seriously sit down and watch The View and be like, this is where I'm getting my news and shit from?
Not if they have common sense.
Oh, God.
If people are into it, that's fine. I just fuck that Whoopi Goldberg.
The View. Yeah, Joy Behar. Tell me the news. Anyway, Mark, you got anything going on? I'd say you're probably about past dead right now from.
No, no, not right now. No,
no,
I don't.
No. Move on. All right, Rambo. What about you? You got anything?
Yep, just a bunch of requests coming up as usual, and finishing up Manhunt 2, which is a very fun game. I probably like last time, from lame shark movies to porno films about big old women. So, all right. And so on and so forth. Before the stream, talked about Silent Night, Bloody Night. That'll be coming up sometime down the road. And Home Alone 2. Be fun revisiting those Christmas films. Before, you guys think of revisiting any Christmas films before the end of the year?
Sailor.
Salo, he said.
That was him, not me.
Is that body horror?
I mean, it's definitely horrific. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's gonna be hilarious to talk about here in a minute. But Scratch, you don't have a channel, right? Like for right now, you do, but you don't like do anything on it, right?
No, I have an Instagram, but that's it. Same name.
So check him out on the Instagram channel. I'll put the name in the chat. By the way, for the chat too, drop like any body horror films that we may have missed that you like and things like that into the comment section. Also like this or I'll kill you. I don't care about jail. I will fucking murder you flat out. Anybody that doesn't give us a like or a comment, you're on my list. Altogether though, do you think that because of the substance, the body horror genre will make a comeback? I mean, do you think there'll be a wave of films that kind of, or is it like a one hit kind of thing that can't really be replicated?
A giant resurgence? No, probably not. Could it be replicated? Possibly. And it could probably do even better than Substance did. I think it's possible. It's always possible.
Maybe if it, isn't it nominated for some Golden Globes?
I think so, yeah.
Maybe if it wins something. But even then, like, with how quick Hollywood is to get on a fast track, haven't heard any other ones brought up to speed. Like, oh, we're going to do this. And okay, that's clearly a reference to success of the Substance. Instead, they're doing Return of the Living Dead, Santa's Sleigh style. Your favorite movie.
You have to keep bringing that up. I get that visual fucking Sanatar, man.
That's why I keep bringing it up.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird to think about, but I do think that the most I could see them doing is like taking something like The Brood or something and remaking it. And just being like, okay, here's like, something in the vein of the Substance. But it's got a name attached to it.
Well, they remade Rabid, and
that
just fucking came and went. Nobody gave a shit. Nobody
it
ever
sucks.
About
That's
it.
why nobody gave a shit. And the Soska Sisters also suck. Just out of while I'm on the subject.
See, I hate everything.
They're
the poor women.
They have not made a good movie the entire time that they've been making movies. I don't want to hear somebody bring up American Mary. I don't fucking care. That's not a good movie. And especially not you, Mark.
I was going to bring it up. I actually was. Yeah. I was going to talk about it, but never mind.
But anyway. Scratch, is there any chance of this like becoming like a thing? Or do you think it's just like that movie just kind of hit off?
I mean, I think studios are always going to try to cash in on a craze, but I always feel like the body horror isn't mainstream. It's like most people aren't really into it. So I can see some studios maybe trying to push some new things, but I don't think it's going to hit the same, especially because of the people that were involved with this one. I think that's why it hit the way it did.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Like, I mean, I don't think you'll be pulling too many like A-list actors to do that shit on a regular basis or anything.
Which, saying that, would the movie be different if they weren't in the movie?
I think so, because like a lot of times when you hear people talking about the movie, you hear them say like, "I can't believe that Demi Moore like did that and did what she did and took the chances that she took and things like that." I think if anything, it gave it more like it got more tension and it gave it more kind of like shock factor that she went in as hard as she did in the paint. Like, she really did. Like,
yeah, I mean, her performance, obviously her name definitely lended a lot to it. I mean, I think if it was like fucking Sherry Moon Zombie as the lead, we wouldn't be talking about it at all. We'd say, "Oh, that's a good concept movie," but like it would not be the same.
Who would be her other half?
The horse. Wild horse.
Hey, that might actually be awesome. A horse popping out of her back. I mean,
that would be killer if they did that. And a fucking white horse just come out of her, like the whole like, head of it would be out right there.
Yeah.
Oh, that's how they should remake Halloween when they do the new trilogy.
Oh, God.
Body horror version of Halloween with Sherry Moon Zombie. All right, so next week, I'm going to make this announcement now because CK will kill me if I don't. Next week, it's so weird that you brought this up earlier, Scratch, because next week, just in time for Christmas, the next episode of ExploitNation is we're going to talk about the guinea pig films. Just in time for Christmas, we're going to review all of the guinea pig films. So I know CK is going to be on that show. Anybody else that wants to be on that show can be on that show, but that's going to be.
Now, are you doing the original, or are you going to do the American? I think
it'll just be the original, the ones that were in the box set that Unearthed put out, because that's what we got.
Side note on that, it's probably like 2019. I saw Stephen Biro at Texas Frightmare, and I said, "Hey man, where are the new like? Are you going to re-release these movies again?" And he told me, "You should have bought it when they came out."
Yeah, I mean that's basically what we ran into. I think that was him. I think he's the only dude for Unearthed, didn't he? Like we ran into him at Horror Hound, and he was like, he had a couple of DVDs of one of the films. I can't remember which one it was.
Yeah, I think they were like bootlegs, the ones I saw, because he had the same thing.
Yeah, he was like, "This is it. Like this is all. I don't have any more of like the." The box sets or anything like that, hidden anywhere or any kind of shit like that. So he's like, "This is all we got."
Yeah, I've got this.
Yeah,
but.
Yep. But that's the next Sunday edition. Is going through those movies. God help us all in time for Christmas. But I appreciate everybody. I especially appreciate Scratch you coming on here.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, Mark, Rambo, as usual. Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
And until next week, I'll see you guys later.
I want all these people to click everything they're supposed to click.
You haven't been liking them, you haven't been subscribing to them, you haven't clicked the bell or notification or anything like that.
Folks, why don't you click the like button?
Do you hate us? Do you not want to see us succeed?
Why don't you click the heart button?
Is this something that you have against our particular show?
Why don't you subscribe?
You should click on one of them buttons right now. If you want us to continue to breathe greatness into your life.
There's all kinds of wonderful shirts over at shop.deadpit.com. Simply the best horror shirts. On TeePublic, there are others, but they all suck. You can get some Dead Pit Radio shirts. You can get Last South on the Left. The Hills Have Eyes. Texas Chainsaw. Oh, wait, you can't say Texas Chainsaw. All kinds of shirts, folks. You're gonna love them. Shop.deadpit.com.
Special thanks goes out to our supporters on Patreon. You know what kind of stuff you can get on Patreon, Uncle Bill, starting at only $1 a month?
What's that?
Access to every Dead Pit show since 2005. We got almost 200 fan commentaries that we've done over the decade.
Here's what other fucking Patreons do. They're like, "Hey, Give us money, and then we'll let you see a video early that we're going to release like a fucking week from now, and then that's all we're going to give you. Meanwhile, we have a literal jukebox full of songs, thousands of reviews. I don't even know how many shows are up on there now that we've done over the years.
Hundreds of thousands.
You need to figure this out now and subscribe to us on Patreon and YouTube and Instagram. Help us to 1 million. The road to